We'll just give it about 30 more seconds, let the last few folks in. And Brian Barron has already started recording the meeting, which is great. So we do have just 8 key screens to share. So we're going to start. Sorry about that. Hope that didn't give everyone a woo. But good to see everyone. Brian Barron, are you letting everybody in?
I am.
Okay, and monitoring the chat or any issues. We prefer if you put your name, folks. We do try to keep our links secure, but sometimes we've had a few crashers this year. All right, so we're gonna share some summer news as it is June 24th, and we've been hard at work over here getting ready for next year. And then we'll have time at the end to answer any questions, of course, but I'm Principal Sophianis, and we have School Business Manager Barron also on the call. So we will both be here to share some information. So let's talk about the big news, which is our school day changes. Our hours have changed. So this is what we know as of today. That's what we'll be sharing. And then of course, we'll share any updates in July as well as we get closer to the school start of August 5th. But our new official school hours, instead of 8 to 2:30, are now 7:45 to 2:45. So we've added 15 minutes on either end of the day for some more time with our students. So our doors are really going to open at 7:15. And we encourage you, if you're a carpool or a walker, to really come at that time. We know buses will really be dropping off around that time. And the bus schedules will be posted later in the summer. Right now, if you go to that page, there is nothing there. They do have summer routes posted, but they do not have regular school year routes posted. So, but we really will open those doors at 7:15. The school start is at 7:45. And then we do still want, if you are someone who might change dismissal on any given day, we of course ask that you kind of limit that. But if you do need to change dismissal, we'll still be needing that by 2 o'clock. And the Pick My Kid app is going to continue on. And that will close at 2 o'clock. And then our teachers' workday has also changed. From their previous work day was 7:30 to 3. That has now changed from 7:15 to 3:15. So again, a 15-minute change for them on either end of the day as well. So that's the big news, are those new hours, and we're very excited about them. So what is going on this summer? There's a lot. So right now we have 187 kiddos enrolled at our summer school. They're just still finishing up their day here. And then we have lots of kids. Most of the kids go to the afternoon power up sessions, and we've had great attendance. We usually hover in the 95% range and above. And for summer school to be at around 74% to date is amazing. And we know some folks knew that they couldn't attend all 4 weeks, and we still encourage them, if they could attend 3 weeks or 2 weeks, that they could still enroll. And so we know some of this is due to planned vacations and camps and so on, but we're very, very excited about the number enrolled in summer school and the kids attending. We had 47 attend our Rising Kinder Camp that happened the first 2 weeks of the summer. And what are we doing here all the time? We have finished up hiring most of our staff. We are planning. We are working on the entire year calendar, the schedule. We've attended a lot of meetings. And of course, we read, we reflect on the year, we reorganize things, and we're recharging as well. So that's what goes on here in the summer. We do come in, and it's great to see and hear kids in the building, and that's great that we have summer school right here at Morningside. So, some dates for you. The first day of school is Thursday, August 5th. That's the big day, first day of school. We are going to have our meet and greet on August 4th. It's 9 to 11, and more details to follow of how that will look as we return to school still during a pandemic, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We do have our back to school night already scheduled for August 19th. That most likely will be virtual, but we're kind of holding on that, pending what we find out. But we have that date secured for our back to school night, where you really get to come and learn about the specifics for that grade directly from the teachers, whether that's virtual or in person. And when do you find out who the teacher is? That's always such an exciting day. That special day is Friday, July 30th. By 4 o'clock, we will have on both ends of our school, where the auditorium is and the front entrance at Morningside at Inman, we will have all the class lists posted. It'll actually be an alpha list by grade, so you can easily find your child and who their teacher is. We will mail that home to every registered kindergarten student. And also the parent portal, that campus parent portal. Most of you, I know, have that. You will be able to open that up and view the teacher as well if you don't want to come up here. So that's the special day, Friday, July 30th at 4 o'clock. All right, so returning to school during a pandemic. And we did receive some updated information from the Georgia DPH, or Department of Health. So we are just sharing this information, but we know APS is going to give us the specifics for our school system. But these are the things that the Georgia Department of Health are recommending. And then there's also some things that are required. So I've kind of put these into two big groups, and that'll start as we relook at our mitigation strategies for the 21-22 school year. So social distancing has now changed to physical distancing. So they're recommending for elementary students the 3 feet of physical distancing, but 6 feet in some cases, especially when students are eating, at other times of the day, and just to use that as a rule of thumb, to try to do 6 feet when you can, but really it's the 3 feet of physical distancing. They are also recommending that we limit non-essential visitors and activities. So we were just asked by a school from out of the state to come and visit. They want to see our program. They've read about our school on our website and through other avenues, and we've declined that visit and said, we'll have to revisit that in 22 or 23. But right now, if it's non-essential, we're not having it at our school. And then the wearing of masks, in the Georgia Department of Health document, which Brian will link to our website, but you can find it. I'm sure it's publicly posted. They are listing the wearing of masks as recommended, but of course we're going to follow the APS guidelines when they unroll them in July. What is required, what the DPH is saying is required right now, again, as the Department of Health, is the wearing of masks on school buses, and that's a federal mandate. There are still quarantining protocols in place, though they've adjusted a little bit, but there are still quarantining protocols in place. And then we will still be reporting weekly data. And we do, of course, work with the Department of Health when we do have a case, have to report that to them directly. So that'll be really where we start in terms of our planning is looking at those documents. And of course, we are going to continue to lead the way. Brian Barron, do you want to share some of the things that we're going to do going into next school year?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see everyone on here. So just some of the things that we implemented in the spring that we will continue forward with. As Audrey discussed, the physical distancing plans with the 3 feet versus the 6 feet for eating, and the protocols that go along with that. We model the zombie walk and that sort of thing, which is good just in general, right? I mean, forget about pandemic. You reduce the amount of germ transmission when you're not right on top of each other. Frequent hand washing and sanitizing we will continue with. Increased cleaning throughout the building. We will continue with our isolation room for COVID symptomatic students, as well as staff, if that is the case. Our space plan, we are planning on fully utilizing every space in the property coming up, being that we are in person returning to school fully in August. We will be using the portables again, as well as every room in this building. Our cohort plan. So we will continue with recess zones. It actually worked really nicely to have rotating zones around the property. We will not have assemblies throughout the whole first semester at least, as well as no field trips throughout the whole semester. First semester at least. The flow plan. So we will continue dismissal from the rooms, which we did this in the spring. We will continue with our one-way stairs, which actually just safety-wise worked really well. Students just either went up or went down. It was wonderful. I'm going to go back for 1 second to the dismissal from rooms. There was a question about Pick My Kid. It was answered. Perfect. Thank you, whoever answered that. Let's see, materials. So again, the guidance is that there will be no sharing of materials, and there will be a cleaning plan for anything that may need to be shared, such as a guided reading book. If it is used by a student, and there will be a cleaning plan as to when another student can use that after it has been, gone through a sanitized process. As we opened up in the spring, Nurse Petty was our fabulous main point of contact, and she will remain so as we reopen in August. I'll answer the questions after Audrey's done. We'll go through the chat and just address those questions that are in there.
Thank you, Brian. We have just a few screens left. So let's talk about the schedule. So we are planning, we're planning as normal, knowing that we're going to have to do mitigation and really look at flow. That also includes not just one-way stairs and dismissal from the classrooms, but we will look at like a restroom flow. We'll look at making sure that we build in spaces so that students can go to the restroom, wash hands, and so on, and assigning people restrooms. We'll take a look at all of that. But we're excited to build our schedule for a 5-day week, actually a plus 30-minute day, and what that allows us to do for our kids. So again, at 7:45 a.m., that bell is going to ring, and we're going to go right into announcements, which will be back. So we will go right into daily announcements. Every year, we start out with audio announcements on our PA system, and then we move into the video announcements. We'll do the same thing this year. Of course, social emotional learning is a way many teachers start the day. We do have an extra 30 minutes, and we're going to use that for an instructional block, which will be both for intervention and enrichment, possibly even acceleration, which is really moving kids faster along to either move them farther or get them caught up. There are standards of service that we're working on. How many minutes a day are we required minimum to do English language arts, math, science, social studies, and health? So we use that as our guide of how many minutes as we build the day. Of course, we will still have all of our special education services, all of our English language learning services. We will continue to do GATE as a resource day. We will have early intervention Identification and services, and that will happen in the fall, where students will be identified based on a rubric that the state and APS will give us. And then, of course, students who still need additional support will be helped through the student support team processes. And so those will all continue. Art, PE, and music. Right now, we're planning that those are in the art room, the music rooms, and the gym. So those will be located in those locations, and students will go there, and we will come up with protocols for cleaning and for making sure that that shared space is able to be used. Spanish for our 4th and 5th graders. We are going to have, STEM was very popular during this last year, as well as many of these other things, but we are going to continue on with STEM enrichment, and it'll be different series that the grade levels will participate in throughout the year. So we're excited about that. It won't be a daily STEM thing, but it will be like kindergarten will have their STEM time, and then they'll have it again at another time of the year. So we're very excited about that STEM enrichment for all of our kids. And the library is reopening. And again, we'll work out the materials and the sharing of books. And last year we did open our library for a time, and we quarantined the books and then put them back into circulation. So there are things that we can do to make sure that shared materials are used wisely, as we do, everything we can to prevent the spread during the pandemic, right? And we did a great job with that last year. We had 0 spread at Morningside. So we're going to continue that on as best as we can. So we do have a 3-year academic recovery plan. And I know people have talked about learning loss, but we're not looking at it that way. What the data is going to be coming out this fall. But right now we're looking at what do the students need. Here's what we do know happened. There was time loss. As you know, we started school late last year, for example. So there's simply been time loss. There's been disrupted learning. In March of 2020, it just happened overnight that our schools were changed into a crisis school mode. And there's been really, unfinished learning. So that's how we're looking at it in terms of the 3-year academic recovery. So we have summer school. We have it this year. We're going to have it next year, and we're going to have it the year after, really based on an academic recovery model, which for this year, the students are focused on the grade they just finished. So, making sure that they have what they need to go on to the next grade. We have this additional 30 minutes. Very excited about that. Every elementary school has it. So it'll be intervention based on need and enrichment based on need. It's basically based on student need. They're leveled groups, but they're fluid groups. Students will be continuously assessed to see how they're doing, how they're growing, how they're progressing, how is their mastery, depending on, where they start in those different groups. This will be a school-wide protected time. Right now, we have it scheduled 8:15 to 8:45. So we'll come in, our day will begin, they'll do some academic things, some SEL things, we'll have announcements, we'll stop, we'll do the intervention and enrichment time, and then boom, 8:45, the schedule continues on. So it is a sacred time. We'll have a first responders team that will handle anything that happens during that time, because all of the rest of us will be working with kids during that 8:15 to 8:45 time. We do have a new screener. It's called MAP. It's the Measure of Academic Progress. And that is our new screener, and that'll give us the different pieces of information. Both Mr. Baird and I are signed up for trainings this summer. We went to a very initial overview training already, but we have something more in depth. Lots of our staff are attending training this summer, and we have a whole team actually that's taking a look at the new screener and the intervention curriculum, what we will do on the enrichment side. So we're very, very excited about that. And again, as I said, students will be assessed continually. The groups are fluid, but they will be leveled as we go through this academic recovery, time loss, disrupted learning, and unfinished learning to try to build that back up for our kids. So what are we excited about? We just listed a, a few things. Again, all kids achieving higher. It's that whole equity piece and looking at what do all kids need. And of course, resuming what was great, but look at the possibilities that we have. I mean, I feel like I attended a session where the person said we've had 10 years of learning in the last 16 months in terms of tech integration and how to use technology. So, what are the possibilities from that? What are the possibilities that our kids who can do so much more, how do we help them take that to the next level? And I'm not, I'm talking about creating things, building things, innovating things. I mean, there are tremendous possibilities. Having this whole relationship piece back fully and the reconnections that will be made. We're so excited for that. Um, we're so excited. I mean, just to, what helped us from January to May in some of the most challenging and difficult times as we return back to school, we're seeing our kids laugh and seeing our kids learn. So just so excited to have everyone back in the space and getting a couple hundred more kids into the building. We are going to have new iPads for our kindergartners and new Chromebooks for our first through fifth graders. And again, those will be used as a resource and for integration. There's all the materials will be at our disposal. We just have to figure out how to do all of that safely. And also welcoming that kindergarten class of 2034. We're very excited about that. So that's what when we start to think about August 5th and the next 180 days after that, these are the things that get us very, very, very excited. So I will stop sharing and then we will answer any questions that we have.
So I made a list to make it.
Oh, excellent, Brian. And I hope everyone is having a great summer.
All right, are we ready here?
As we jump into some questions.
And I apologize in advance. And so Audrey and I are sitting in. I'm in one room and she's in her office. And I know she hears me like choking on something over here, so I'm gonna try to get through this without choking. Excuse me. All right. First question was about Pick My Kid, and there was a link that was put into the chat. Pick My Kid is an app that we are using on the parent side and on the school side in order to more efficiently run through our car line. Our 80 car line went in about 21 minutes this year, so it is a very efficient app. Just read on there, and it'll give you everything you need to know. There was a question about in-person option, and I think that question was posted right after the open house date. The in-person option, we don't know yet. We are waiting for guidance and information as to whether we are allowed to or not. So you will get information on that as to what type of open house we will be conducting this year.
Yeah, so for the meet and greet right now, where Brian and I've talked about it just a little bit, we are planning on that being an in-person event, and we'll figure out how to do that as safely as possible. But my assumption is that meet and greet is in person so that we can at least have folks come in unless we're not allowed to do that. So, and we may end up staggering the times a little bit. But right now we are going forward as if that one event is in person.
Perfect. All right, next question was, when will mitigation strategies stop? Mitigation strategies will stop when we are told that we can stop them, I think is kind of when that happens. And I think that will be a joint effort, between the CDC, the Department of Health, APS, etc. So the answer to that one is that we don't really have an answer to that one, but we will all kind of watch that anxiously together. Will there be surveillance testing as we return? Audrey, have we received word if there is or
We
not?
don't know the answer to that. I know the initial plan for that was through June 30th. So it's continued for summer school, but I don't know beyond that if surveillance testing will continue.
Okay. All right. What are the metrics guiding the policies? The metrics are, I don't have that answer. We are following the guidance that the Department of Health and the CDC are using. It's not, we're not making these decisions based on our own metrics. So literally, we are following all of the guidance that is put before us from the state as well as the CDC. So
And one thing I did notice in the Georgia Department of Health document, they called it an interim update for schools. So that leads me to believe there'll be another update before schools open, I hope. But we will try to stay apprised of all of that. And, I took a look at that document as best I could and pulled out the things I thought parents would, and teachers would want to know in terms of what's recommended, what is required, so that we at least start from there. And then we'll take a look at, we've already started to adjust our website with the latest information, and we'll take a look at the quarantine protocols, because those have adjusted a little bit, and they adjusted even during the year for those of you that unfortunately ever had to experience a quarantine from the beginning, as we went on, and like, for example, I think that at some point, if a student had an official case of COVID and then was part of a quarantine, they didn't have to participate in it, depending on that length of time. So we didn't have anybody that fell under that, but we always made sure, parents were aware of that if their class was quarantined, if there was anyone. And that was something new that emerged, during that second semester. So there are some slight changes to the quarantine. But I think what was helpful for me to read in that document is that is still an expectation that schools enforce the quarantining for positive COVID cases and then possibly close contacts. So once we get closer to school, we'll send out the latest that we know, and hopefully APS, I know APS will be doing that also, so that we can really prepare folks, with here's what could possibly happen, here's what we're required to do.
okay. With the change from 6 feet to 3 feet distancing, will the school fit everyone? Yes, we are planning on a full return, and doesn't get much better than that after last year. So yes, we will fit everyone. Will ARA power updates be announced earlier for next summer? That answer is your guess is as good as ours, and we hope so.
Very much hope so, so parents can plan.
Right.
Yes, and teachers. We had some teachers that would have loved to have taught at ARA. We actually had a lot of our teachers. The bulk of the teachers here are our own Morningside teachers, but I think we would have had even a few more if they had known sooner.
All right. Milestone. There was a question about milestones results. Milestones results. So what I do know about milestones results is that because the number of testers were not the same as they have been in the past, the state has to do a little bit of level setting, excuse me, regarding the results of the test. So the results are delayed a little bit than they were. Not, we didn't get them last year, the year before that. So most likely August is probably the earliest we're looking at for those to be released as final scores. Okay. All right. Extracurriculars. So extracurriculars. One moment. I'm getting a yes. All right. Hot off the press. Not sure what they will look like, but there will be some offered through Morningside After School. And stay tuned for those details. If you do have questions about those, in the back to school tab, there will be an aftercare tab. that will direct you to the Morningside After School website for those extracurriculars as they share that with us. Hours of aftercare. So this is also fresh off the press from the woman and legend herself. 2:45 to 6 p.m. is what the aftercare hours will be. Let's see. Ah, the difference between parent login versus student login to the parent portal. You're going to want to log into the parent login for parent portal in order to see the information. If you are having issue with logging into the parent portal, you can always give our school secretary a call. It may be a matter of needing a code, so she can help you with that. And if she can't, she'll direct you to the help desk in order to address that. Let's see, are we planning to do lunch in the classroom? So we have, I'm going to throw two questions over the screen to Audrey. So that's the first question, is about lunch in the classrooms. And then the second question goes back to quarantining. There was a question about, if students have to be quarantined, will they learn virtually?
Great, two questions. So let's start with the cafeteria. So right now we're building a schedule as if we can use the cafeteria. We do have a very large cafeteria, and we can fit up to 400 students in there. So if we look at kind of trying to keep that at a 50% capacity or even a 60% capacity, and not go any higher than that, then we're hopeful that we can use the cafeteria, but we don't have a definitive word on that. Again, we would have to build in times to clean and protocols to clean, but we really want to make that work. This year we did students in the classroom the entire time, and I will tell you, there are students and teachers that love that because it just worked super well. It really did. If we have to go to that for a while, we will. But I'm very hopeful. I know of schools that even did that last year. But again, we're going to have to go on what we're allowed to do. But we're building a schedule as if, and we're trying to build a schedule that doesn't change, so that if we do have to go to a more restrictive mitigation strategy in that area, it doesn't really impact the schedule. So we're trying to figure that out as best we can and get creative. So in terms of if students have to, it was the question about students have to quarantine, can they learn at home? Was that the question, Brian? So we are trying to figure that out. That is a great question, and something I would certainly like to build to, especially in the quarantine situation. So there's a difference if it's a whole class or if it's just a few people. So, but yes, we're going to try to figure that out as best we can. We're not going to have, last year we had a full virtual learning program where we had teachers and we could slide students into those classes, and we had a plan for every grade of where the students would go when there was a quarantine option. We're not going to have that this year. Because our students who want to remain virtual will attend the Atlanta Virtual Academy, which is a separate entity. It's like attending another school from us. But I'm not sure what creative things APS has come up with to help us do that, but that would be the vision, that we somehow, especially for quarantining. Now, I'd love to build towards even beyond that. What we learned in the last 16 months is learning doesn't, and we knew this before, but we really learned it. Learning doesn't ever stop. I mean, our kids are in a world, and we're in a world where we can just learn 24/7. Of course, we need to have that balance, but that is the reality, is that learning never stops. So wouldn't it be great if we could even build beyond, when we don't have to do mitigation strategies, we don't have to quarantine, and what does it look like when a student is absent? So we're going to take those baby steps towards that, but we will figure out the quarantining piece as best we can. with what we have. And there's so many different options I can think of how to do it. So we'll see if we get any resources from Ava, if that's any possibility for us, or if we have to do it in-house with our folks. And then who would those folks be? Would that be every teacher, or would that be a set person at every grade? Those are some of the options I think of off the top of my head. But we don't want any more time loss or unfinished learning or disrupted learning. So we want that in the past. So that's our intention as we go forward with how to build that.
All right, that was the last question that I see on here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do want to show you something very exciting. It's a whole other part of the excitement of being at Morningside right now, and that's our facility update. So Brian will if it probably is already linked, but we may make it a more visible section of our website. It's on the Atlanta Public Schools website under facilities.
So Audrey, it's linked from our website under the About tab.
Okay, under the About tab. So there are all kinds of good updates out there of what's going on for our construction project. So if we just go to, I'm not sure, I went to the 6-4 one. Does the 618 one, Brian, have good pictures?
It does. It has the media center.
Oh, let's go take a look. So there are weekly construction progress reports coming out. It's so great. It kind of gives you what's going on, what the plan is, what's the timeline, how are we doing on the budget, and the last budget update, which is great. And then there's pictures. And kids would love to see these too. Look at all these machines being used and all these tools. They are tearing things down. For those of you that live nearby, you've probably seen lots of activity. I mean, look at this. There is a lot going on. A storm drainage installed. So you can take a look at these updates as they post them.
I'm so sorry. I misled you. It was the week before. For
the week before. Well, we'll take a look at that one too. Let me see if I can. Oh, let me just go back. All right, this one you think has the media center.
I do.
Let's take a look. Again, it gives you, all the, here's the gym, the little annex building is gone. It is completely gone. They're taking our existing cafeteria. They're making that additional classrooms. Oh no, this is a painful one. There goes the turf being removed. Brian, it must be the first one, but that's okay, folks.
Audrey, scroll up a little bit. It was
there.
It was the picture on the right. Oh,
gotcha. Let me see.
I get so excited with construction pictures.
I know. Yeah. It is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, right here. That is the media center. Wow.
So the cafeteria demolition, just for those of you who are wondering where that is, at the existing cafeteria, sorry. The week before, if you are brave enough to go on to the update the week before, shows the demolition of where the new cafeteria will be, the classrooms that have been gutted in order to make space for that new cafeteria.
So that's exciting. And from what we are being told, everything is still on the timeline. Of course, there's always those punch list items to finish up what you move in to a home or a school. So we know there will be some of that. The plan is still to move. We'll be here one more year and then that facility will open. We do not know anything more about what will happen with this facility, but it was down to 2. It was either going to be a K-5 elementary school or a 4-5 building for the entire cluster. And both are for the entire cluster. It's just, is it going to be a K-5 or a 4-5 building? So, and then when I say for the K-5 building, it is for the Midtown cluster, which is our new name. We all have to get used to. We are now Midtown. And it'll be a new K-5 building, which they will, redo the boundaries to fill up that building and to make sure all the buildings are utilized to the maximum that they can be without overcrowding any of the buildings. So, okay.
So I think that was the last question.
I think we've got some help in there. I think people were asking questions about the campus parent portal and Pick My Kids. So I think there's some help in there that people have done. And I think that's it in terms of questions. Unless anybody has a last minute question about our summer updates. Any last minute?
Hey, Audrey, it's Emily. I hadn't typed this in, but how's registration going?
It's going great. Make sure everyone on this call, make sure you have truly registered. Any of you that attended the Rising kindergarten camp, we did notice that some of you had not registered. So we sent those names to our school registrar, which is Ramacia Parham, to make sure that she followed up, but just make sure that you have fully registered. Tell your friends to fully register, and it's all done online. It is all done online, and it's a much easier process. So you do have to provide a lot of documents. We know that. But make sure and let your friends know, make sure you've registered. So where we're at, I think right now in terms of registration is very close to about 800. We were predicted at 905. We know where we have to hit in terms of the money and to not have any disruption to our staffing plan. But we did bank some positions. And what that means is you have a teacher that retires or resigns, you take that money and you put it in the bank and you don't hire that position till you're sure that you need it. So right now, when we were seeing our numbers, we decided to bank a couple of positions as people resign towards in that May timeframe. So we did not fill a couple positions. And then we'll see as we get closer, is there going to be a need to hire someone for that position or not? But we watch those very closely. We're watching both the registrations and if there's any other withdrawals. But it's looking pretty good. It's looking what I would expect at this point. And I know that we'll still get quite a few, and I think we'll be just fine in terms of the money, and the banking of positions was probably a wise thing to do.
Audrey, I'm going to pop in here just for a second. There was a question about where the recording will be located. The recording is going to be located on a new private YouTube channel for Morningside, and I will link to it from. Let me think here. We will get the link sent out. So each of the links is going to have to be sent following each meeting. The reason why we do that is because there were some students on here as well. And so just for privacy, we do keep that page private. So you'll get the link sent out to you on the same communication that was sent out to let you know about this meeting. Okay. Also, the last thing that I have is there was a question about this, or maybe a little confusion about the start time from when it was first announced until it was revised after the survey. So on our website, on the picture scroller on the front, it says new school hours. And if you click for more information, you see me clicking there? Right there, just like that. If you click for more information, you will be linked to the APS website, which is the official announcement of the official start and end times of the day. So,
and it's 7:45 to 2:45 day. And at 2:40, we will start our dismissal process, especially with our younger students, our K-1. We always try to get them going and to their destinations before we open it up to everyone, so that they get to their right spots. So 7:45 to 2:45 is this official school day.
Do you have any more staffing updates? Has there been any changes since the spring?
In terms of
People
I
leave.
can tell you, let me make sure I have them all. So let's start. We had in kindergarten, and Brian, make sure I don't miss anyone. Laura Lowe has moved to St. Augustine, Florida. In first grade, Misty Moore has moved to Springfield, Georgia. Also in kindergarten, Kathy Wright is a paraprofessional, was with us 1 year, and she's moved back to Sarah Smith. She was there for 18 years and is going to now finish her career there. Allison Staggs in kindergarten is now becoming an assistant principal in Fayette County. So we're sad to see her go. Then we also have Azam Salahi and Sonia Wright, our two counselors. We had a counselor and a half counselor, have both retired. So they have both retired. Holly Love, an English second language teacher, has moved to North Carolina. So that was kind of a last minute change. Sarah Richards is going to be a master teacher leader at Barack and Michelle Obama Academy in APS. In our own building, Hanak Tedessa, who taught 4th grade, is going to be one of our instructional coaches. So we're very excited about that. And then Mark Dunaway is moving to Alabama. He has retired from the state of Georgia as a teacher and is going to teach in Alabama. So he's moving to be near family. As many of these folks that have moved the area, that's a trend. I was just reading an article about superintendents, and they're even seeing a lot of turnover in that role as people either move closer to home, take positions closer to home, or find other opportunities after a challenging year.
Thank you.
So we've hired replacements for all of our teachers, but we have banked some of the positions. So as we look at the predicted numbers. All right, is there any other question?
Hey, Audrey, do you know if the foundation is going to be able to do like the kinder mixer this fall for the parents?
I am not sure is anybody from foundation or even PTA on here want to talk about any of the initial plans, or are we waiting? Anybody? We're hopeful we can find even some outdoor venues. I know there are, I don't really know. I don't know if anyone knows what the state of Georgia is saying about events and how big they can be. Does anybody know that, the latest?
Yeah. Hey, Audrey. So Tony
hi,
here.
Tony.
Hello. Hey, everyone. I'd say that, so I'm PTA co-president for those I don't know on the call, and we're still doing a lot of planning, still a lot of talking, still a lot of meetings. I will say we are proceeding, or we're meeting with the Boostathon team and we have tons of open fields all around Inman that can be leveraged. So I think we're still doing a lot of planning at this point, so I don't want to overcommit to anything, but we are starting to think about how to best use that outdoor space to give kids the experience that we want them to have again. So can't commit to anything, but just know we are thinking and talking about it.
Yeah, I think we're going to really leverage our property as well, even more than we were able to in the spring. You know, there's different pockets all around our building, and plus we do have that large field that's diagonal to us that we can use at any time. All right. Okay, so somebody just responded. Stacy Morrison, that the state of emergency ends July 1, which means there's no restrictions on events. So that's good to know. And then I think it's just figuring out what we do from there in terms of kind of those outside activities. We know as a school, we'll have a different set of parameters to work within. We do know that, again, field trips right now are there aren't any in the first semester, but that will be revisited in the late fall from APS to make decisions about that for the second semester. So, all right, everyone, we'll have a fantastic rest of the summer. Know that we are still here working. We will have a period of time. So please, in terms of the registration, do it now, because there is a period of time. Those first couple weeks in July is when our school system and our school, most people are on vacation during that window. So people are much more out than they are in. So please do not wait until the first couple weeks of July. There will be a time that we will not have anyone but facilities folks here on the property, as we do try to take a bit of a vacation and have that time to reflect and recharge off of the property. So let that first couple weeks, but on July 19th, we all do return back fully. That's kind of our date where the entire school system has to, anyone that works year round, like Mr. Barron and I and Miss Parham, we have to have our vacations and our time away ended by that time. So now is the time, but once you hit that first week of July, when you get to that 4th of July time, I know Atlanta's a quiet city those weeks, and the school system's quiet also. So that is not the time to be calling and emailing everyone, because we'll be more out than in. So, but have a great rest of the summer. We're very excited about 21-22. A culture of joy and connection. That's our goal. The joy of learning and the joy of reconnecting and connecting, learning, connecting with each other, and connecting as humans again on a more a cautious, safe, but a very intentional basis as we rebuild after what we've all experienced. So have a great summer, and we'll send out updates as we get closer to that August 5th start. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, have a great